Don't get me wrong, I'm still pro Bitcoin, but honestly, I have to admit that cash is still king. Well, at least for now, and I'll explain exactly what I mean coming right up. Well, before I even get started, you know exactly what to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that bell so you'll be notified anytime I release any new videos right here on my channel. Also, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to share it with all of your friends. Make sure to go throughout my channel and check out the different videos that you like and share it with your friends. That really helps me out in terms of getting my videos discovered here on YouTube. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm actually going to admit this. Because I'm so pro Bitcoin, it's hard to really say this, that cash is king. And like I said, it's only king for right now. And the reason why is because of the purpose of cash. I mean, we need cash in terms of bartering. We need cash to go out there in terms of going and buying goods and services, which makes cash a necessity for us. It's a necessity for us in terms of our daily lives. I mean, what can we really do right now if we did not have any cash at hand? Of course, we can't jump into other assets because we don't really use other assets. Me and you don't really hold gold and go out there and start trading gold for a bar of soap or anything like that anymore. So why do we need cash? It's because it's a necessity and it's something good that we have to have. Now, it's also good in terms of being a good tool for leverage. Now, of course, leverage in the terms of a crisis, but also leverage in terms of investments when we need to put cash into a different particular asset. Of course, when we're talking about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is very new, and Bitcoin right now isn't used or isn't widely adopted as a bartering instrument in terms of going out there every single day and purchasing goods and services. And that's one of the big differences when it comes to cash and when it comes to cryptocurrency. Right now, we are definitely going through our own crisis, and it has a lot to do with this virus that's going around right now. There's a lot of panic and there's a lot of fear that's just going throughout the public. We're seeing a lot of things that's happening right now, from travel bans that's going around in terms of people from the UK cannot go to America. A lot of different other countries are locking down as well, like in terms of Italy as well. And this is having a big impact. Not only that, you're seeing a lot of people rushing to stores. And they're not only rushing to stores, I actually see people fighting over paper goods and canned goods and sanitary products, just trying to get things off the shelf. And now, do I think this is something that's going to be a very big problem coming about? It probably will, and that's probably the reason why people are rushing to the stores right now, as if this was like a hurricane and you're not going to be without anything for the next several weeks and the next several months. But this is definitely still a concern. Why? Because it could be a catastrophic event that happens and not only affect us in terms of the way that we live, but affect the entire economy as well. Of course, we're seeing the stock market, which the stock market has gone down completely over the last several weeks, and this can continue to happen. We've also seen a lot of things happening with the governments trying to inject some money into the economy to try to stabilize it, and it's not really working out too well. We also saw the Feds try to slash interest rates and trying to keep things afloat when it comes to big businesses and big banks as well. And that's not really working as well as either. So when it comes to cash, I mean, cash is one of those things that we definitely need to have on hand when it comes to any kind of pandemic, when it comes to any kind of crisis, especially with the economy, because you do not know what your position is going to be, and you don't know what's going to happen or how long a crisis is going to take effect in terms of when it's over, in terms of what will you be able to do, what position will you have when it comes to you and your cash. You know, we're very familiar with the term bailout. I mean, this is something that we saw in 2008 and 2009 in terms of the government bailing out these big banks because they felt as if they were just too big to fail. I mean, honestly, they gave them all of this money and we still don't know to this day what happened to all that money. And did they use that money to try to forgive a bunch of loans and forgive a bunch of people in terms of their debts? I don't really think so. Did they use that money to help boost the economy in terms of small businesses? We really don't have any evidence of any of that. But one of the things I'm very afraid of has not to do with bail out, but the term in terms of bail in. This is something that we really don't talk about a whole lot, but we did see this in terms of Cyprus in 2012 and 2013 when they had the bail-in crisis. And this is when the banks went in and confiscated the money that was in bank accounts. because they went out there and trying to get different loans. They, Cyprus tried to get a loan from Russia. They got a particular loan, but it was not enough to definitely help them out in terms of all the things that they needed to do to boost and save the economy. So what they decided to do is they decided to go and dip inside of bank accounts and take the money out from the individuals in terms of the citizens of that particular country. Now, this is one thing that I'm very scared of because, of course, we've seen a lot of things happening right now in terms of America, in terms of the Feds printing out money, and they're trying to do whatever they can to help boost the economy. But what happens when that fails? Are we in risk of seeing another bail-in? Well, hopefully not. But that is something that should scare you in terms of that term because it has to do with you and your bank accounts. Of course, a lot of people are familiar with the FDIC when it comes to insuring your bank accounts, but that's only up to a certain amount in different countries. In terms of the US, that's up to $200,000 or $100,000, depending on where you're banking at. And depending on what happens with you and your bank account, you're at risk. Now, of course, for certain individuals, we're talking about high net worth individuals that have more than $100,000 or $200,000 in their bank account. And of course, what happens to those individuals that have less than that amount of money inside their bank account? You are at risk. You're at risk of losing all of your money, and you can't do anything about it. The reason why you can't do anything about it is because when you deposit money into a bank, it's no longer your money. I've always told you that. Actually, what happens when you deposit money in a bank account, the bank owes you a debt. They're promising to pay you back that particular amount of money. Of course, a lot of people don't have that money inside their bank account for too long because as soon as they put it in, they go out and go spend it on any kind of goods and services or any kind of expenses that they might actually have. But those bank accounts are still at risk in terms of the banks taking your money. So what position are you in? Did you know that most people do not have money to cover basic expenses? Especially without borrowing money. Did you know that 45% of Americans do not even have a savings account? And nearly 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in terms of savings. What are you going to be doing in terms of a crisis? You need to have an emergency crisis fund. You need to have a fund. I'm not talking about just having a savings account. That's something that you should be doing on your own within anytime something happens, whether it's a crisis, whether you need to have expenses, whether you need to make an investment, you need to have a good savings account. But I'm talking about having a separate account from that in terms of some type of emergency fund that you need to go to when you have a global pandemic, for instance, that happens and you do not know what's going to happen. For instance, if you're not able to work for the next 2-3 months, what are you going to do? If you're a person that have less than $1,000, you're living check to check, what are you going to do? Do you have a nest egg that you can go to in terms of cash on hand? This is one of the reasons why I think cash is king right now, because having physical cash is very important. Instead of people running out there and going to the stores and running to get paper goods and canned goods, I think people should be running to the ATM to get money out of the ATM and have cash on hand, whether it's in a shoebox, whether it's underneath a mattress or inside your shoe. I do not care, but you should have cash on hand right now because you do not know how long this is going to be. A lot of people go and rush to the ATM when there's a hurricane because they fear that there's just going to be no power so they can be able to withdraw money out of the ATM. But what happens in a global pandemic when you can't go anywhere? The bank decides to take your money because the whole entire economy fell under. What are you going to do then? This is one of the reasons why I said that you need to have an emergency cash fund. I don't care if it's $1,000, I don't care if it's $10,000, but you definitely need to have one. Of course, this is a reason why I love cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is unconfiscatable. This is something that you control, and banks cannot go in and just seize your cryptocurrency account. You send money to whoever you want to send money to with low to no fees. You don't have to worry about these different service charges. And like I said, the government cannot stop you from spending your own money, and nor can it go in and seize any of your accounts when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, of course, cash is king, but it can potentially be dethroned. And the reason why is because cash does have its disadvantages. Now, cash can be confiscated, and it runs the risk of theft, especially if you're keeping it in a house or unsecured. It can be confiscated, or somebody can break into your home and actually take it from you or take it off your body. Now, another reason why cash does have a disadvantage is that cash is dirty money. Now, no, we're not talking about in terms of criminals, but we're talking about in the way that we use cash by using it for in terms of person-to-person transactions. It has the risk of transferring germs and diseases. Another reason why cash has a big advantage is because it's really not worth the paper it's printed on. It's just really a promise from the government to pay that note or the representation of that note. So when it comes to money, money has the potential of being devalued. I mean, we're all in terms of running this fear in terms of when is the US dollar going to be devalued, or what is the other country's currency that's going to dethrone the US dollar. And this is some of the risks that we have to think about when it comes to cash. You know, Bitcoin has the potential of becoming king, just not right now. And the reason why I say that is because we still need cash, and in terms of using cash to put inside of cryptocurrency. One of the ways of how it works in terms of you think about the market cap of cryptocurrency is just below $100 billion. When compared to, for instance, different currencies, or when it's compared to different assets, like for instance, gold, which is in the trillions. Right now, we have to still convert our money in terms of putting it inside of Bitcoin. And that's one of the reasons why it's very volatile, because people are putting their money into Bitcoin or a different cryptocurrency. They're seeing the market fluctuate or go up, and then they go ahead and sell their cryptocurrency and make that particular profit and then exchange it right back for cash. So when people are doing that, that really defeats the purpose of using cryptocurrency. So until we start seeing a large influx of money going inside of Bitcoin and Bitcoin becoming more stable and people starting to use Bitcoin a whole lot more or more than cash, then we will start seeing that scale starts to tip. Because when it comes to cash, one of the disadvantages as well has to do with fraud. There's a lot of fraud when it comes to cash in terms of fake money being printed as well. But when it comes to cryptocurrency, fraud is pretty much to zero. And one of the reasons is because of the blockchain. We know that it's your money when you have and hold your private keys. And we know when you go and spend your money, you are the one that's in charge of it. So a lot of merchants feel secure when it comes to actually accepting cryptocurrency because they know that that money is there and is verified on the blockchain. So as we get more global adoption when it comes to cryptocurrency, we won't start seeing that scale being tipped in terms of Bitcoin taking over cash as king. So there you have it. This is the reason why I think that cash is still king, at least for right now. I mean, Bitcoin has the potential of definitely becoming king in the near future. Right now, like I said, in terms of the market, in terms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole, it's just too small. It's not in the trillions as of yet. And of course, as more people start to get familiar with cryptocurrency and the benefits of cryptocurrency, and the market starts to mature in terms of money starting to pour into it, we won't see that tipping of the scale. This is the only reason why cash is king right now. And hopefully, we'll start seeing that shift within the next 3 to 5 years or so. That's pretty much my prediction in terms of that. Guys, I'm Black Crypto. Thank you for checking out another cryptocurrency video. I want you to go ahead and stop over to my Instagram and my Twitter at BLK Crypto. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.